Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the channel, and welcome again to this beautiful morning. Winter is just knocking on the door, and this beautiful fog on the river, and the silence is so comforting that you can even feel the dropping of the leaves, as the leaves are falling. It's very calm and a good time to talk about what we are going to talk about today. In the previous few videos, we have discussed, we have put on the table of how the mind is living in patterns, and we have indicated how our existence is basically a movement of memory, physically or psychologically. Today, we would like to go a little forward than that, and one way to do that is to break these patterns of memory. Okay, now, as I just used in my sentence, you have to see that memory acts in patterns. So this is what you have to observe, that memory is acting in patterns, because memory is kind of like a set of instructions, and whenever the set of instructions have to act, they have to repeat themselves, just like a computer program. Okay, so today we will see how we can start breaking the patterns. Okay, from the last few videos we have insisted strongly, we have shown with examples and shown with our practical life living patterns that how everything is going in a mechanical way, how everything is going in a memory patterns. Today we will see how is it possible to break those patterns. Okay, so yesterday I was reading a beautiful book by Dr. Sean Carroll from Johns Hopkins. He's a physicist and also philosopher. So he has this book series called The Biggest Ideas in the Universe, and the first version of the book, the first book in the series, is called Time and Space. And as I was reading, it said that according to Laplace and his system, or let's put it simply, according to classical physics, okay, if you know the position and velocity of a particle at a given instant, and maybe let's also consider the forces acting on it, and usually forces can be calculated from velocity. So essentially, position and velocity are the important bits. I'm sorry, I'm sounding a little like a physics class, but these are basic terms. Position, velocity, which is like speed for you. If you haven't heard the term velocity, velocity is similar to speed, just as a difference of one is a vector and one is a scalar. Again, physics terms. So he said that if you know all the information about an object at any instant of time, okay, then it's possible to use physics to predict its past and its future. Now, this is what is used when we send probes to Mars, probes to the moon, or something like this. If we consider the probe as an object, and we know the velocity with which the probe is fired or the probe takes off, and the angle and the direction and the position and all this is known, then they can but precisely predict where the probe is going to land on the moon or on the Mars. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to show you from this little story about physics is that when something is working in patterns, when something is living in patterns, then you can very precisely predict its past and future. So, as an object, a spaceship follows all the laws of nature, lives in patterns, doesn't have its own choice or will to turn this way or that way, because it strictly follows the laws of nature. It's very easy to predict what is the future of this object and what was the past of this object. So, one way or one aspect of breaking the patterns of memory, the breaking the patterns of life, is that if you are living in a predictable way, okay, if I can easily predict your past and future, then that is already an indication that you are living in strong patterns. Okay. Now, I would like to clarify that there are some patterns which are essential, okay, for for the right functioning of the everyday living. For example, taking a bus in the morning at 7, and I can say I have predicted you would take a bus in the morning tomorrow at 7. I'm not talking about this kind of patterns, okay? These are functional patterns and they have their own importance, they have their own functionality, and this is not actually what creates problems for us. The patterns that I'm talking really about is the patterns which are actually undetectable in you, okay? The way you walk, for example, the way you sleep, the way you turn yourself, okay? If you have observed, there is also a pattern in these. The kind of food you eat and you repeat eating the similar kind of food. The kind of music you listen and every day you repeat listening the same music. Because, and for all this, you tell yourself that it's what you like. Okay? So, you see, we just discovered something. I just saw it that liking, the process of saying I like it, I don't like it, I like it, is actually a way of creating patterns. When you say I like pasta and I want pasta every day, you have created a pattern. Okay, the brain has made a memory that pasta is pleasant, pleasurable, and the brain then repeats that pattern every day. Okay, you would even see the way you talk as a pattern. You would even see the way you're taking a selfie, your facial expressions have a pattern. The way you stand in a photograph has a pattern. Okay, the way you are stepping your foot has a pattern. So, can you be aware of all these patterns, first of all? Okay? Can you be aware that when you go to a store and you are picking similar kind of clothes, similar kind of fashion because you think that is what fits you, that is what works for you? Can you break that pattern? Okay? I'm not saying that you break that pattern because it is some kind of a, what should I say? We are not breaking these patterns because we are trying to prove something, or we are trying to show that we are something superior, or alpha or something, that some people use this kind of stupid terms. We are breaking the patterns because when the brain is living in patterns, first of all, the brain becomes dull. It loses its ability to observe. Imagine if most of your day you are living in one pattern or the another, then the brain doesn't have to observe very carefully. The brain already knows what is to be done in this pattern according to this pattern, and the brain keeps living like that. Okay? So, our whole intention of breaking the pattern is first of all to keep the brain alive and fresh. Okay? The brain should be in its how do you say, fresh. There must be a freshness to the brain. The brain must have this quality of sensitivity, and the sensitivity is coming from awareness, sensitivity is coming from observation. But if the brain is totally comfortable in patterns, then it doesn't observe so nicely. Okay? So first of all, this is one of the reasons that it's for our own benefit, it's for our own health, mental health. We are choosing to break the patterns. Okay, so that our brain can remain more alert. So observe these patterns in your life. Observe every pattern in your life. Be like a very strong observer. As Mr. Krishnamurti used to say, that if you're locked inside a room with a snake, with a viper, then how carefully you will observe this viper, or how carefully you will observe the snake, because your life depends on it. Okay, you will observe its every movement, how this viper moves and doesn't move. Okay, so in the same way, observe your whole existence. See how your body is living in patterns. Your body has a rhythm. Okay, going to the toilet at a certain time in the morning, trying to feel sleepy at certain time in the afternoon, then asking for a walk at certain time of the day, if you are that sensitive that you can feel your body is asking for a walk, feeling hungry at certain times of the day. So observe all this, and then you will see a new kind of freshness is coming to you. The reason is that the very observation of pattern is actually the beginning of the breaking of the pattern. Mostly the pattern survives longer, mostly this mechanical way survives longer because it is unobserved. And when something is unobserved, it keeps on going on and on and on and on and on. But now, if you will observe it, and if you will see that mechanical way is like living as a dead thing, because in a mechanical way of living, in a patterned way of living, anyone can predict my past and future. I'm not saying there is something wrong in predicting the past and future. I'm just saying that if I can predict your past and future, then you are living in a mechanical way. It's just an evidence. And a mechanical thing is not alive. It's dead. It's like a machine. Mechanical. The word mechanic comes from the word machine, repetitive, which repeats itself. Okay. So try to observe it in yourself, that why your brain likes to live in this dead way of living, in this repetitive way of living, in this mechanical way of living. And you would see that as you become aware of these patterns, then you can't neglect them anymore. Now you know that a mechanical way is a dead way, and no one wants to be dead actually. We all want to live with full of life, full of feeling of life. So, but in unawareness, in inattention, in sleepiness, in this stupid state of the mind which is living in patterns, the mind doesn't observe all this. And because it doesn't observe all this, it's not aware of all this. And because it's not aware of all this keeps on going on and on and on. And the result is, when you live long enough in this patterned way, mechanical way, then you have frustration inside of you. You don't know why you're frustrated, but you feel frustrated. Then you very strongly want to desire some new experiences, bigger experiences. Okay? And then you are slave to experiences. Then you need them, otherwise you feel like life is just nothing. Then you open the door for anxiety and depression in your life. Okay? Because you're living like a machine. Not just in certain parts where we said it's necessary as function, taking a bus, going to school on certain times. This is fine. But the very living of you should not become mechanical. Okay? The way you brush differently every day. I'm not saying it must become a headache for you. Okay, just learn the concept. Not the, I'm sorry for using the word concept. Learn the science, the fact that to be aware of the pattern is bringing already a change in the pattern. So keep an awareness about these patterns that you are doing in life. Every time you're choosing the same food, be aware. Know that you are living in a pattern. Every time you're trying to pick the same shirt in the store, that you all have always picked this kind of clothing, be aware. Every time your mind wants to work in a mechanical way, in a repetitive way, be aware of that. Don't just let it go. And as you will be aware of that, as you will live with an awareness of that, you will see that that very awareness of mechanical way of living is kind of taking away the mechanicalness out of life, and a new kind of freshness is coming. Okay, so the easier indicator is you become predictive. Okay, you become, and it doesn't matter who is predicting it. If you can predict yourself what you are going to do, that's also kind of a pattern. I'm not saying become absurdly random. Again, remember, we are not saying this kind of thing, but be rational. That the thing to do is not what the mind wants according to its pattern. The thing to do is what is absolutely correct in any given situation of life. Don't do what the pattern of the mind is telling you to do. Observe and see what is correct and what should be done in that situation. And because every situation is fresh, your observation will end up giving you a certainly different action every time. Okay? So, see this repetitiveness. See this pattern in your life. See how you live in a mechanical way. See how the mind feels very comfortable living in a mechanical way. Why the mind wants to stay in this mechanical laziness actually. Okay? And then also see how it kind of makes you lifeless, how it kind of makes you, bored, depressed by living in this mechanical way. Do this experiment. We usually are posting on Sunday, so 3 days of the week coming, live your usual mechanical way, and 3 days try to live in a different way as we have suggested, and see how everything is different. But as it has been my humble request in the channel all the time, please try it. If you will not try it, then it has no value actually. It's just some entertainment that you've done by sitting on YouTube, just like any other entertainment. Okay? So put it into your life. Try to bring it into your life, that how a mechanical way is dangerous way of living. In certain parts of life it's fine. It's very good to catch a bus at a time, to drive a bicycle in a mechanical way. Your muscles are repeating the movement of driving the bike. That's all fine. But when your mind is mechanical completely, that's when the problem begins. That's when you lose life. That's when you start living like a machine. So observe it. Okay? It's your life. When you act to do something that makes you better, that's much bigger evidence than by you saying, yes, I take myself seriously. Don't just say that you take yourself seriously. Also act. That action is the actual proof that you take yourself seriously. Okay? So break patterns. Break these patterns. These patterns are useless. Okay? Have a freshness in your life. Have this fresh observation of making new decisions every day in certain things. There is a need of mechanical way in certain parts of the life. We accept it, we keep it, right? But in other parts of the life, we don't have to. And that's where we live fully. We live as a living thing should. A living thing cannot be predicted. Remember this. A living thing cannot be predicted. So, if you have fallen this trap of patterns, break these patterns. Okay? It's actually an insult. That's why I always say the people who are giving horoscopes and telling your future are actually telling you that you are dead. Because if your future can be predicted, then it is actually a sign of mechanicalness, a repeat loop, so as to say. So, in that sense, we will keep the, how do you say, the awareness as a sharp knife, and this awareness, which is our sharp knife, will keep us fresh. The sharp knife of awareness is going to dissect everything. It will tell us, yes, this is a pattern, this is not a pattern. This is how I lived yesterday. I'm doing the same thing today. This is how I've been living for the last 5 years. Why can't I just change it? Why not? Let's try to live in a new way. Life is about trying new things, as the usual common street philosophy goes, So try this, okay? Enjoy your mornings, enjoy your evenings, and every day in a different way. Every day without a pattern. So I hope what I have tried to share in the past few videos, where we stressed a lot on how we live as memory, how we live as a repetitive pattern in a mechanical way, and today we have tried to debunk how to break those patterns in a way so that you can live in a much fresh way. You can live as a living thing must live. So please try it. And again, I think I would even try to increase the frequency of the videos, maybe 2 videos a week from next week. I do not know, but I will try. Work is quite a lot at the moment because of some responsibilities that have been given to me. But still, I will try, and you keep introducing these things in your videos. We got a recent comment, and another of our viewer was very happy with the content, and he expressed his thanks, or she expressed her thanks. I'm sorry, I do not know if it was a he or she, and I'm really happy that someone is thinking the videos are helping to anyone. But whoever is watching, please apply first, okay? So enjoy your Sunday, and we will meet again. Thank you.